True life begins at 50, as Carl Jung pointed out. It is not an ending, but a rebirth filled with freedom and authenticity. Stay until the end to discover how this stage transforms everything. At 50, life takes on a different weight. It is no longer about endlessly accumulating visible achievements to prove something to others, but about beginning to listen to what truly matters. Until then, most people have followed a path drawn by expectations: studying, securing a stable job, starting a family, buying a home, attaining a certain prestige. All of that may have been valuable, but also exhausting. The routine of duty leaves behind a silent void, a sense that something is missing. At this point, the possibility of an inner rebirth emerges, and Carl Jung understood it as a crucial turning point in existence. For Jung, the second half of life is not an inevitable decline, but a process of transformation. The body begins to show signs of wear, but the mind grows deeper. Time lived offers a perspective that youth does not possess. Failures and victories, pain and joy have been experienced, and this accumulation builds an inner richness that no longer depends on external recognition. This is the moment to abandon the obsession with endless productivity and begin to look inward. With an honesty that once seemed impossible, the so-called midlife crisis, so often caricatured, is in reality a point of inflection. It is not about superficial whims or irrational decisions, but about a necessary adjustment. After fulfilling what society imposed, the urgency arises to be oneself without masks. This is the moment when individuation central to Jung's thought becomes indispensable, integrating all parts of our being, even those we hid for fear of others' judgment. At 50, the burden of appearances becomes harder to tolerate, and that relief opens the door to authenticity. Authenticity does not mean the absence of difficulty. Time brings wrinkles, physical pain, and inevitable losses, but Jung insisted that fleeing from these realities only feeds frustration. Wisdom lies in accepting and taming them, not denying them. Reconciling with impermanence gives rise to renewed clarity. There is no time left to waste on empty battles or goals dictated by others. Energy begins to flow toward what truly nourishes human relationships, creativity, the search for meaning. In this reordering, 50 can become a golden age, a stage in which blind obedience to the system fades and inner freedom is chosen. At 50, the possibility of transmitting what has been learned appears. Accumulated experience is not reduced to titles or possessions, but to a practical wisdom that can inspire others. Sharing mistakes, successes, and life strategies gives new meaning to what has been lived. It is not about imposing, but about offering what has been understood after years of searching. This act of giving connects one to something larger than oneself and reinforces inner balance. Transmitting also means continuing to learn. At this age, one can return to the curiosity of a beginner, but with the serenity of someone no longer chasing external approval. The stability gained over the years allows for the exploration of new passions. Some begin professional projects more aligned with their values, others discover artistic talents that had long been repressed. What once seemed like a luxury now becomes a vital necessity. This openness keeps the inner flame alive. It is not a return to youth, but the creation of a space of freedom where what is essential finally finds room. The patience and perspective that come with age become allies in sustaining changes that once seemed impossible. In relationships, a purification also occurs. Superficial or toxic bonds dissolve, and those that provide real connection grow stronger. Saying no stops being an act of rebellion and becomes an act of self-care. The freedom to choose one's social circle feels firmer, because one knows better what nourishes and what drains. At the same time, the shadow is integrated. Desires, impulses, or facets once censored now find a legitimate place. This integration brings real balance, where one no longer fights against parts of oneself, but allows them to exist as components of a more complete identity. Yen pointed out that this process of individuation is not linear. Doubts, setbacks, and moments of confusion arise, but all are part of a metamorphosis. Discomfort is a sign that something deep is transforming. Letting go of old identities and opening oneself to new ways of being can be arduous, but it is also the beginning of an unknown freedom. The second half of life, understood this way, is not a chronological number but a symbolic threshold toward a more authentic existence. Recognizing the richness of past experiences creates fertile ground for what lies ahead. Without fear of what is left behind and with openness to what still awaits. Upon reaching 50, many discover an unexpected creative impulse. It is not a search for recognition or external ambition, but an inner need to express what has been silently accumulating for years. Creativity may appear in painting, music, writing, cooking, gardening, or any activity that ignites enthusiasm. Jung saw creativity as a privileged channel to connect with the unconscious, give form to inner symbols, and grant meaning to existence. This creative fire is not measured by material achievements, but by the ability to open a space of freedom where life, once again, feels light and passionate. Personal circumstances may limit the scale of change. Not everyone can abandon everything and start from zero, but inner transformation does not depend on drastic gestures. Sometimes small adjustments are enough, dedicating time to an activity that renews energy, opening new conversations with loved ones, or reorganizing habits of consumption and work to restore coherence to daily life. Every conscious decision, no matter how small, erodes the chains of inertia and creates space for what truly matters. The perception of time also changes. Before, it seemed inexhaustible. Now it is recognized as limited and precious. This awareness does not paralyze, but intensifies the desire to make use of every moment. The urgency of now or never pushes one to stop postponing what is essential and to let go of meaningless distractions. This clarity orders priorities and restores serenity. At the same time, reconciliation with the past becomes important. Mistakes, failures, and decisions that once weighed heavily as guilt are reinterpreted as necessary lessons. Releasing constant self-demand allows one to face the future without chains of regret. Spirituality, understood broadly, also strengthens, not necessarily tied to religion, but as a search for connection with something greater than oneself. Some find it in nature, others in art, meditation, or social commitment. The sense of belonging to something larger brings calm and determination, dissolving the idea that life is a solitary path. This awakening does not depend on dogma, but on the willingness to open oneself to transcendence. Every testimony of those who reinvent themselves after 50 shows that the vital spark does not disappear. A book published at 58, a passion discovered at 55, a craft learned at 50. Examples reveal that late blooming is real. For young, this is logical. The first half of life is invested in building the social self, while the second offers the opportunity to explore the deeper self. What has been lived becomes liberated energy for what still remains. Turning 50 is not the closing of anything. It is the opening of everything. Reinvention is still possible and necessary. Don't forget to subscribe, activate the notification bell, leave your comment, give it a like, and join us in the next videos so we can continue growing together.